Those blue things.
What?
And then he hides. He hides all the blue things because
Oh,
people
here.
steal them. No. You need it for your phone.
No, I
Dude.
don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You don't? Sure.
Yep.
No more rehearsing and nursing apart. We know every card by heart. Overture, curtain lights. This is it. We'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show.
No energy. Binge watching. Binge watching shows.
Oh, binge watching, binge listening, binging on food. It's that time. I'm on the show. Sorry, we're late. We were chewing the fat. Hey, how's your whole
What?
family?
Wow.
Thank you very much, everybody.
What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
What is happening?
How's your whole family?
Oh my God.
What?
What?
Huh?
Why?
Why not?
I don't like it.
Oh well.
Oh, I don't. Ew, I don't like that answer. I lost my page. I lost my page.
Oh, on with the show. This is it. Welcome to REALTOwn. I'm your honorary and self-appointed mayor of REALTOwn, and this, of course, I'm John, and this, of course,
I'm the hostess with the mostest.
Oh, from coast to coastess. Oh, hello, Frisco. Oh,
Frisco.
Rip Taylor is gone.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I didn't know he was alive. I really thought he
Didn't
was
you see
already
the confetti
passed.
storm?
I thought he had already passed.
No.
I apologize, but I really
Rip
legit.
Taylor, excuse me.
I actually was like, wait a second. Didn't he already pass away?
He was still
Was it Rip Torn?
Rip Taylor.
No. I said, did Rip Torn die?
That I don't know.
Is he alive?
Couldn't tell you.
I got my rips mixed up.
Well,
I don't
R.I.P.
know.
to R.I.P.
Ri-
Rip Torn died a couple months ago.
Oh,
I thought it was Rip Taylor.
No, Rip Taylor just died.
No, I know, but I thought
hello,
it was
Frisco.
Rip
Once
Torn
again.
just died.
Oh, you thought Rip Torn just died? I thought
No.
Rip Torn was already
I
dead.
got both Rips mixed.
Now we know.
I'm getting
Rip
my rips
Torn.
mixed. I gotta look because
That tears
I got
it
my rips-
because Rip Torn, get it,
Rip Taylor
it has been
I
gone
know
for
Rip
a little
Taylor
while.
died like a couple days ago.
He didn't.
But didn't Rip Torn die like a?
Did the $1.98
Beauty show, yeah, on NBC. It was the
did-
hokiest, funniest damn thing ever.
I thought he did Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, get out of my head. It's like the damn Gong Show. I think it was
Rip
a Chuck.
Torn died.
Yes.
Okay, so Rip Torn died July 9th, 2019. He
Yoing,
just
yoing,
died.
yoing, yoing, yoing,
And then
yoing.
Rip Taylor died a couple of days ago.
Right.
See? This is why I thought, see, I'm not being a coldless bitch. Cold bitch.
We know
I'm not
of.
being because when they said Rip Taylor died, I said he's already dead. What is wrong with these people? Why are they acting like I know he already died? Rip Torn died a few months ago. I thought when they said Rip Taylor died, they were talking about Rip Torn, who had already died. Therefore, I was like, he's dead. But no, it's Rip Taylor who died. So the two Rips died. They let it rip.
Ripped from the headlines. A very special NBC nightly
I
news.
know, it's sad.
Isn't
But
that
Rip Torn,
awful?
yeah, Rip Torn died July 9th, 2019. Which was only 3 months ago.
That's correct.
That was only 3 months ago.
That's
and
Jimmy's
then Rip
birthday.
Taylor, he died
Taylor.
2 days ago? 3 days ago? 2 days ago, I
A
think.
few days ago,
Was
yeah.
it 2 days ago?
Taylor Ham.
Rip Taylor died. So
Andy
3
Taylor.
months ago, Rip Torn died.
Yeah.
And, we're not talking about the name John or Bob. I mean, this is like a name. And Rip Taylor died 2 days ago. So Rip Torn died 2 months ago. Rip Taylor died 2 days ago.
Can we say
so
that
that's
one more
two
time?
Rips. And so therefore, it's okay to mix them up because how many people named Rip in Hollywood? 2. And they're both dead.
Well, R.I.P. to both R.I.P.s. And to me, if I'm not careful.
Water.
Anyway.
So it's not foolish for me to have thought he was already dead. That's not even, it's a true fact. I mean, how can you not think that was the same?
And now we know.
Rip Torn died 2 months ago. Rip Taylor
Can we
died
do this
2 days ago.
one more time?
Rip Torn was the actor. He was in Dodgeball, if you remember. Dodgeball.
Yes,
He did
yeah.
a lot of stuff before that, but that's what I remember him for. And then Rip Taylor was the guy like on Hollywood Squares and stuff.
And the $1.98 beauty show.
Whatever that was.
That was
That
funny
was-
back in the 70s.
Exactly, when you were 14.
Okay. Yeah, I probably was, actually.
Well, yeah. I was in diapers, so.
No, you weren't. If I was
Yeah.
14, you were not in diapers.
Maybe I was in diapers at 2 or 3. You don't know. Maybe they didn't have pull-ups back then, you know.
I'm a big kid
so,
now.
So it was diapers until you were about 6, until you were in school. Okay, so there were no pull-ups.
Not with me, baby.
It was
No,
diapers,
no.
and let's put this out there. It was cloth diapers in the 70s.
Oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't like the
And
cloud.
in the 60s, I remember the diaper pail in the bathroom when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
After about 3 years old, that kind of went away.
Disgusting.
Goodbye.
So this is what I'm talking about. So exactly. Exactly. So when you were 18 in the 71, my little curmudgeon friend.
Get off my lawn. Shut up. Listen,
His
quiet.
body may be in his 50s, but
Listen
his
to
brain
me.
is in his 80s.
Be quiet. Ed Sullivan's on.
Exactly. Who?
What do you mean who? I remember Ed Sullivan. Hey, quiet.
I don't remember the Ed Sullivan
It's time
show.
for laugh-in. Knock it off.
I don't remember that either.
What?
No. Ed Sullivan I knew because of who Ed Sullivan is. You just know who it is. It's not like, but watching the Ed Sullivan, I never watched the show.
Of course. But the guy with the plates in there right here. That
Never saw
crazy
it.
mouse. Topo
Never saw it.
You know?
All I saw was like the Beatles, because everybody's seen that
Well,
footage.
they've played that clip.
That was
a
their
million
first
times.
American gig. Was the Ed Sullivan show?
Ed was great because the
Really big shoe.
he-
And Bugs Bunny. I remember him on Bugs Bunny.
and the Flintstones. He was Ed Sully Stone.
Ed Sully Stone. Right. So that I remember. I remember animated Ed Sullivan.
I remember because the longer the name of the act, the weirder it was. Like, and so coming up after the break, it's Bobo, the dancing bear, who's going to juggle chainsaws and string trimmers while reading a bedtime story.
I remember Arsenio Hall. See, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in the. I'm
That's
in
like the early
80s.
90s.
Late 80s, early
That's
90s.
That's like
Yeah.
1990. That's just
Now,
put it
no,
right
started
there.
in 88, 89.
So again, about
into
1990.
93. Oh yeah.
So you split the difference.
That's what I remember. As far as
man.
okay, so I'll tell you, the oldest talk show I can remember and actually seeing it visually
Yeah.
is
Johnny Carson,
Oh, Johnny Carson, yeah, of course.
Merv Griffin, Mike Douglas.
Mike Douglas.
Ha!
That I remember.
Mom used to watch Mike Douglas every afternoon.
When was Mike Douglas?
60s and 70s. Up maybe to the very,
think
very
it was
early
later.
80s.
Yes. See,
Maybe.
that's what I'm talking about. Let's see Mike Douglas.
Joe Franklin. Hello,
who's
everybody.
that?
This is Joe Franklin.
Who's that?
Who's
What? Who's that?
Joe Franklin, Channel 9.
Who's
We
that?
have here with us a wonderful new musician.
Who?
His name, he's got one
Who the hell are you
name
talking
only.
about?
His name is Prince. Hello and welcome to the Joe Franklin Show.
I know who Prince is. Who's Joe Franklin?
Joe Franklin was an institution. He was on Channel 9. He was a New York institution.
I didn't grow up here, so how would I know? I wouldn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking to the masses. We're not talking just to New Jersey, New Yorkers.
But
okay?
on the cable, you could get him everywhere.
Not on my cable,
Clearly not.
but Mike Douglas.
You can find him. You can now find him
Let me
probably
see,
on
Mike Douglas show.
the Google.
I'm looking for Mike Douglas because I
Mike
want to see you in the show.
I think he's on the Facebook too.
You kids with the social media,
Facebook.
you got the My Face and the Facebook and all this business.
Yes, thank you, Larry.
You know what's funny about that,
So
John?
Mike Douglas-
What's that?
No, I would say that's funny because when I talk to some of the old rockers from like the Capris and stuff,
Right.
they talk just like that.
Yeah, well, they do.
They're in their 70s and 80s, and they're like, "Oh, you got all that stuff now," you know.
Yeah. Well, that was one of my bosses from northeastern PA, an old cold cracker by the name of Larry Serafin. And this is like 10 years ago, and Larry was probably in his late 50s, early 60s back then. And 10 years ago, you still had MySpace. And Facebook. MySpace was starting to fade, but you still had it out there. And, he'd come out to the sales office where, it's like late in the afternoon, we're getting ready to go, and we're checking our social media.
You young guys with the My Face and the Facebook.
And he was serious. He goes,
I just don't get it. I don't know what that's all
makes
about.
sense.
I can't get into it, and the wife wants me to have an account. I say bullshit.
So, okay. Good for
See,
you.
Mike Douglas
Yeah.
had an appearance of Tiger Woods when he was 2 years old.
El Tigre.
That makes sense.
Eldrick Tiger Woods.
That makes sense because Mike Douglas it was in color. It wasn't in black and
Of
white.
course it was. Well, it was black and white at our house.
Not. It was. Why did you have a black and white television?
That's exactly right.
Oh.
Didn't have a color TV till 1983.
What?
Didn't have a color TV
You
till
didn't have
1983.
a color TV till 83.
And even then, it was in
Ew.
Mother and Dad's bedroom.
I had a color TV in when I was a kid.
No.
Because I remember the Muppets were in color. The Sesame Street was in color. Don't you remember?
Well, I heard of it being in color. I didn't actually see it because we got the Zenith
Well,
downstairs.
it was
It's perfectly
syndication.
good. Well, Dad, it's not color. And even Mother. Well, why don't you invite the boys over? You can watch the football game. Not going to happen. Well, I don't understand why. Because the TV is not color.
You know what I remember? The first VCR. That I remember.
Rob DeLeo, my good buddy, had one. His mother and dad bought a top-loading VCR. This would have been about somewhere in circa 1979 to 81 in there. And it was like $1,500 versus the last one I got, maybe 15 years ago, was like $59.95. Here, get it out of here.
And just so you know, Mike Douglas ended in 82. That was the last.
Early 80s, like I said.
Mostly, so that's why I remember
Yeah.
it. But don't ask me about stuff that's
Joe Franklin.
I don't know who that is.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's who I remember.
he
And
used
Johnny
to be-
Carson I remember, of course.
Oh, of course.
I remember, actually, what's weird is I remember being on spring break in Fort Lauderdale and seeing Joan Rivers fill in for.
Oh!
She filled in for Johnny Carson. I don't
She
know
was-
why that was in my head.
She was the
but-
heir apparent until there was a falling out, and then she. Oh,
Well,
I know
they
what
did
it
a
was.
documentary about that one.
Well, she Fox approached her when Fox was brand new about doing a competitive
Right.
show, and she's like, "Oh, why wouldn't I do that?" So she went and did that.
Right, and that pissed Johnny
And
Carson off.
Carson was none too pleased.
He was not happy.
Most upset.
Well,
So
they
there
had
was
that
a
whole
rift.
HBO show about Jay Leno versus Letterman, and in that documentary, they did talk about what happened with Joan Rivers as well. So that was
Yeah.
part of that documentary. Of
course.
There was a lot of drama surrounding Johnny Carson and the hosts that he would select, and then after he had retired, who was going to take his place, and there was quite a war. I mean, it was like a network war.
Well, yeah.
And they had like shows about it and everything like
Well,
that.
that's why Dave went ultimately to CBS because Dave was
Dave
the
thought he
heir
was gonna get
apparent.
it.
Well, he was
He
the heir
thought he was-
apparent.
right.
He had the show after. Carson would go on at 11:35, and in the old days, when I was a kid, when my grandmother and I would watch, Carson would start right after the 11 o'clock news and
Right.
go till 1 in the morning. He had a
Oh,
90.
no.
Oh yeah, he had a
Oh.
90-minute show. And then somewhere along the way, I don't know when. I'm going to say maybe mid-late 70s, early 80s, if that late. They backed it down to an hour. And I think I was either a junior or senior in high school when Letterman late night
Right,
with
with
David
David
Letterman.
Letterman
Okay.
came after Johnny
Right,
Carson.
Paul Schaefer. That's great, Dave. Yeah, great.
Right.
And it was after the Tonight Show, and it
Right.
was a perfect lead-in
Right.
because Dave was the younger guy at the time, and Carson was the gold standard.
Yeah, so together they were reaching pretty much everybody.
They just
Their
killed
demographics
it.
were like
And-
it was like 18 to 34 and 25 to 54.
Of
It was like
course.
those two were combined.
And Dave was the heir apparent. He was the heir apparent. I mean, it was all over the media, all over the stuff, all over the trades, and then he wasn't. And then shortly after is when he went over to CBS. CBS was
Started
like,
his
"Hey,
own.
you're a little bent out of shape." He goes, "I'm a little bent out of shape.
Yeah,
Why don't you come over here? Well, what do you want me to do over here? We want you to
Have
do
your own show."
a nice 11:30 show over here." Granted, Johnny's retired, and you can't stick it to him, but you can stick it up Leno's ass if
Well,
you
they
like.
they had everybody had reconciled by the end of it. I mean, that
Right,
was
they
really,
did.
And I think David and Johnny Carson had reconciled.
They did. They did.
So but that whole what was it called? Late Night War? No, there was like an actual movie about it. I'll look that up. I can look up everything. I
The
can't
Mike
remember.
Douglas show, man. Mother used to. He was on like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think on like Channel 2 out of New York City. You know, the late afternoon. It wasn't.
Late Shift. Is that
Sorry?
what it was called? Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm
No,
thinking out loud.
late show with David Letterman.
No, I'm saying the movie that
Oh,
was about it.
can't
I
tell
think
you
it was
don't
called
know.
Late Shift, I think. but I'll find out in a second.
Night Shift with Michael Keaton. Barney
No.
Rubble. What an actor.
Leno versus Letterman, and then
And
And-
then
it was and then didn't Conan fought with Jay Leno too?
Yeah, he
because
did.
Conan was supposed to take over Jay Leno's spot and ended up going to Jimmy Fallon.
right. Well, don't forget Leno retired twice.
That's right.
The first time it was going to go to Conan, and it did for like 5 minutes. And then like, yeah, remember we told you we were going to give you that position? Sound familiar?
Yeah.
And we're going to take it away from you, Adam. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Conan.
Yeah. And that's what they thought. They thought Conan was going to do it.
Well, because he was on it for like a week or two, and then
Yep.
it's like, yeah, I'm going to come back and do the program again for
The
a little
Late
while.
Shift. It was called The Late Shift.
Yeah.
I got it. I remembered. It was called The Late Shift.
Oh my.
The movie. The movie was called The Late Shift. It was the movie.
Gonna be some
Came
big
out in
sun
1996, and it was
coming
about
down on
it was about the
late
battle for Johnny
shift of the
Carson's
network
seat.
stars.
No.
What? Noah?
Oh, Ivan Reitman was one
Yes.
of the producers.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Really?
Yeah. You know who Ivan Reitman is. He also did
Mr. and Mrs.
Ghostbusters.
Reitman's little boy.
He also did Ghostbusters.
Yes, he did.
It was a very good movie.
Well, if you like that kind of thing.
I love Ghostbusters. What? You didn't like Ghostbusters?
I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine.
OMG!
I saw it, and then I can now say, okay, I've seen it. Didn't see it in the movies.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, yeah.
Ghostbusters is like a classic.
Oh, of course it is. But, you know, it wasn't necessarily my I have to go see that.
I got to
movie.
chime in here, John. I 100%.
Here we go.
Yeah, I know, but Tracy, this is not curmudgeon speaking. You know that. I
we know of.
loved Ghostbusters, but I saw it and it was done. I mean, you know, I moved on to Stripes and other movies with Bill Murray, and I
Frank
just
came out before Ghostbusters.
well, whatever. But
Yeah.
again, show
Well,
my
you-
age.
Well, let me guess. When you see Ghostbusters on TV, you're like, okay, keep flipping. You see Stripes or Caddyshack, yeah, I gotta
Yeah.
watch that.
Yeah. And that's-
I'm the
that's-
opposite. I'm telling you because you guys are old. I'm telling you. Because when I see Stripes, I won't say that about Stripes, but when
I
I see
love Stripes.
Caddyshack, I always keep flipping.
Well, why?
Always. Because I think Ghostbusters, I like it more.
Ah, okay. See,
But
it's subjective.
It's because I'm younger. in my brain.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
My brain, I'm not talking about the number, the age number. I'm talking about my brain. My brain functions at a younger age than the two of you.
But the Ghostbusters to me was a great thing, but it was done and over with. I didn't.
Yeah,
Why do
I-
you think when I went to Comic-Con this last weekend, Ghostbusters was one of the biggest
Oh
displays?
yeah, because a lot of people
See,
love
I
it.
have no
But that's like
idea
Star
why that
Wars.
would still be so
I
fun.
saw Star
Still
Wars. I
very,
saw all the
very-
other Star Wars things, but I'm not a Star
very-
Wars like a Trekkie. I mean, I like it, but I'm not. You know.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
It's 35 years ago with the damn Ghostbusters.
Sure.
Enough already.
No, they're still. You should saw the huge Stay Puft thing they had, and the Mr. Slime was there. Oh
The
yeah,
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
yeah, they were all there.
And the last time they had the con, that guy, the black guy, that was there, Ernie Hudson,
Oh, it's a con.
Ernie
was
Hudson.
there at the you know
I know.
the Parsimpany. But you know what? The line was so long. I said, "I'm sorry, Ernie, I can't see you now. I went to see somebody else.
Oh, when you went to.
I went to see Lyle Wagner."
Yeah, that's Wonder Woman's man.
I'm so glad.
No, it was Carol Burnett, too.
Oh, that's right. I see again. I don't remember.
It's an
Carol
age thing.
Carol.
I get it.
I remember
I
him on
get it.
Wonder Woman.
I get it. It's an age thing.
My head, my head is of.
When did
a
Carol Burnett show
30-year-old.
stop? When did that? When
Wonder
was
Woman and Carol. Well, when was he on Carol Burnett? I don't know.
He,
I
no,
don't
that's not
remember
my
him.
question. My question
I
is
think
like
he,
Mike
in
Douglas
the
was
80s. I think
82.
it just started in the 80s after 6 Million
Carol
Dollar
Burnett?
Man had Farrah
Carol Burnett's
Fawcett and
old.
all that.
No, Carol Burnett show, Gino. That was from about the early 70s, maybe late
Here we
60s.
go. Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
To I don't know when
Here
it
it's
ended.
coming right now. Give me a second.
He had a
Let me look it
hiatus
up.
for a while too. I remember him not being anywhere.
Carol Burnett show. Here it is. Comedian, actress Carol Burnett. Blah 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 blah.
Wow,
blah.
no, blah.
Started in 1967.
Thank
ended
you.
in 1978.
Okay.
Not. It's just.
Yeah.
Like 10 years. So 67 to 78. Okay. And why you want me to look up Wonder Woman now?
Wonder Woman. Oh, this just in to IMS in Washington. Phnom Penh. Saigon.
Wonder Woman.
Details in a half an hour.
I love Ghostbusters. Who you gonna call?
my best
First
friend.
of all, I just watched a documentary about Ghostbusters on Reels, best channel ever, and that movie is still as popular now as it was then. Just letting you know.
I understand. I get
so
it.
Wonder Woman-
I've seen it, and moving on.
Wonder Woman was 75 to 79. It was
Oh, my.
short-lived. So I guess he was on both, but I watched Wonder Woman. I didn't watch Carol Burnett. Is that
Carol
bad?
Burnett
I mean,
was
I
very
kind of, I shouldn't say I didn't, because I do remember Tim Conway.
Tim Conway, he just passed
I
recently.
kind of remember them.
Harvey
and I remember
Korman.
I remember the one with the curtains gone with the wind. I
Right.
remember that one.
Well, everybody remembers that. That's
but I don't
iconic.
remember. I don't remember others. I don't know. I think something happened. I missed.
That's where
some years of my
that's where
life.
and I can't stand this program. That's where the Mama's Family
Oh, I hated that
thing
show.
comes from.
I hated that. I knew that, and I hated
Vicki
that show.
Lawrence did that bit on
Yes.
Carol Burnett, and
Yes.
they spun it into a show.
Yeah, because then they had the guy who played the husband.
Ken
and
Berry.
Yeah, that whole.
Who was Captain Parmenter
yeah,
on
and
F
then-
Troop.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the whole thing. No, I didn't like that show. The show wasn't funny to me. It was
No.
on for a long time.
It
though.
was way too long, and and it would be in reruns like in the mid late
still
'80s.
is.
It is. Well, yeah, it is. It's on Me TV, and I
Yeah.
don't watch it.
Yeah.
But it would be in like reruns on like the local affiliate, the local station. And I was living out in Northeast Pennsylvania. I go to people's homes who I knew, and we're like, "Hang on, we're watching Mama's Family." I said, "I'm just going to run around the block for a while. I'm not watching this shit. I got to go."
See, I think my taste is so weird because my main television movies is literally 80s, 90s. Like that's my main. 70s is very random for me. Very random. Maybe I was in a closet for.
Well, what
10
a
years.
difference a half a decade makes, because we're a half a decade apart. Okay, so let's just say in 1978, okay,
Yeah.
you were what, 9 years old?
Shh. Don't say that on the air.
Why not? You said
a
how old you
secret.
were the other week.
Maybe.
You did.
Oh yeah. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, 1978,
Okay.
like in the summer of 78, I was this close from being 14.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is, it's not that far apart. But I feel like it's far apart because the way you talk and the things you like seem to be 10 years difference. But it's not really 10 years.
It really isn't.
No.
It's yeah. I watched
But you
the
did.
Rockford Files.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
watched
watch that.
Cannon with William
I didn't watch that.
Conrad.
But
Mannix. Mannix was another one.
I didn't
crime
watch
show.
that. But here's the thing: you said also that your parents were
McLeod.
older, so your parents watched older things. My mom was like a teen mom, so
Right.
that's the difference. So probably what I watched was what the younger.
What was on in the house?
Yeah.
You watched what was on in the
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
And
maybe.
you just went with it.
Maybe.
I mean, but now there was also, and you've seen this maybe on the Facebook, the weekend started with, Overture, Time
Yes,
of Life.
and then Super Friends.
Right. Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice.
I loved that. I loved.
Lou,
Super Friends.
come on, Lou.
And Wonder Twin Powers.
Okay, that was later.
Oh no, I love that. Wonder Twins.
Yeah, it was later.
Captain Caveman.
Captain Caveman.
Remember him?
Yes, I do. Cavey.
Was that later too?
A little bit, but it was like the early part of later.
Wonder Twins.
And then weekends ended with The Wonderful World of Disney on NBC.
Yes, Wonderful World of Disney.
When that was over, man, it was shower time and hit the rack.
Hit the what?
Bedtime.
Oh, no, night. Oh no, that wasn't night for me.
Yes, it was.
It was Saturday mornings.
No. Wonderful World of Disney was on Sunday night.
Oh. No, but Super Friends
8
was
o'clock.
Saturday morning.
Of course it was.
Oh, okay.
Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice League.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure. And then Wonder Woman, she had an invisible jet.
Yes, she did.
She flew around in it all the time. And Aquaman was there. He used to be in the water. I remember Aquaman.
Thus the Aqua
And
Man.
and I remember the Wonder Twins, and they had a monkey named Gleek. I remember this. They go, Wonder Twin powers activate. Shape of an elephant. Form of water. And then the elephant would put the trunk in with the water and then spray it on the villains. They'd be like, good job.
Do you remember the Herculoids with the formless, fearless creatures, Gloop and Gleep? And they would expand? Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
There's Plastic Man. Remember Plastic
Oh,
Man?
yeah. Elastic. Yeah, sure. Plastic Man. Plastic Man.
He was like, his uniform was like red and white or red and yellow. He had those glasses.
Yeah, those glasses like Horace Grant
those glasses.
from the Bulls in the 90s.
Yeah.
And there was Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. You were small. Do
You
remember
know what I
Sigmund?
saw
Johnny Whitaker.
at Comic-Con?
No.
And maybe this coincides. And I don't know if Gene knows this because Gene was just talking about this a few weeks ago to me, and I was at Comic-Con, and I love Comic-Con. We'll go into that because, oh my God. But you see a lot of previews
So
for
sorry
like
I
new
missed it.
shows and new movies. Oh, shut up.
Oh, sorry.
And guess what they had a preview for, Gene? The new Banana Splits movie.
I know. It's a scary one, too.
What?
It's
Is
a
it?
scary one.
Ooh.
It's scary. Didn't seem scary to me.
Yeah. Just don't shut it off because I'm right in the ear.
But Banana Splits.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a scary one.
I don't know.
Scary.
It didn't
Scary.
seem scary to me. I don't care. Either way, then I hadn't thought about the Banana Splits until you started talking about them, and then they showed it at Comic-Con. Comic-Con is amazing. Can I talk about Comic-Con?
It's going to happen anyway.
It is going to happen
Let
anyway.
her rip,
Well,
Tater Chip.
if you got something to say, I don't want to.
I'm just
go
over
ahead.
here. No, I got nothing.
Go
I
ahead.
don't
You
go
got
to those
anything
things.
good?
I
No,
don't go to those
Did
things.
you go to? Did you go anywhere?
Go ahead, Comic-Con.
Did you go anywhere?
Nope.
Are you just saying that?
Right.
This is silly.
Because it'll be, well, yeah, I did this.
But-
Great cast of Comic-Con, and I met this guy, and I got a kiss from that
Comic-Con's
guy, and the whole
exciting.
cast of Buffy the Quagmire Slayer, whatever the hell it's called.
Well, you're
You know?
going to talk about going to PA and going to like a baseball game or
Yeah,
something.
no. Go ahead.
Where'd you go?
I'm here. I'm watching.
I went out of my mind. Go ahead, Comic-Con. Let's hear about it.
Look what
You
he
met the
said.
Angel
Black
crew, it
Panther
looked like, too,
Comic-Con.
Trace, didn't you?
Black Panther Comic-Con shirt?
Black Panther.
Black Panther Comic-Con.
Tracy, you met the Angel crew.
I did.
How was that?
Oh,
Like a
A
little
dream come
girl, like a
true?
little tiny girl you
a
were.
dream come true.
See?
See? It's
Towel, you
awesome.
okay?
It's a dream come true. Well, David Boreanaz wasn't there because I guess he's too big for that now. I did Bones and now I'm doing Navy SEALs. Ooh. So he wasn't there. But that's okay. That's okay, David. You're much bigger than that, I guess. Whatever.
David.
But every single one of them was there except him, like all the others from that cast. And I was a huge, Buffy Angel. That's my thing. But let me tell you something. I've met a lot of famous people in my life, not just like at these conventions, but I'm saying in my past jobs, I've met a lot of celebrities and a lot of people. And let me tell you something.
Go ahead.
I was like, just like Gene said, a little girl. I was like, I didn't even know what to do with myself. I literally walked, and I had my little Angel shirt because I had an Angel cast shirt that I bought that I loved. And then I walked in, and they're all sitting there, and they're all looking at me, and I literally lost my shit.
Oh,
I lost it. I lost it. They had to comfort me. They comforted me, these people. Because in my head, it's if you're meeting someone one-on-one or two, but when there was 6 of them in there. 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I walked in and I just looked around. I did like a scan and I went, this is like so surreal. I can't believe this is happening right now. I can't believe this is happening. I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to do. Like, this is what I'm saying.
I understand.
And they all start giggling, and they're like, "It's okay, it's okay." And I'm like, "No, this is I can't." And I'm literally looking at all of them, and I'm like, "Oh my God, there's Cordelia. Oh my God, there's Spike. Oh my God, there's Wesley." And I'm like saying all the characters in my head. There's Gunn. There's I'm saying all the characters, and I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. I start shaking. So then I turned around for the picture, and the girl who plays Fred, and actually she becomes another character, Deliria, later anyway. She grabbed my arm to comfort me, and she whispered in my ear, she goes, "It's gonna be okay." And I was like, "Thank you." And then, took the picture, and then I walked away, and I saw Cordelia, and I said, well, that's not her name. That's the name of her character. So Charisma Carpenter is the name of the actress. And I went, "Oh my God, Charisma, I follow you on Twitter every single day." I said, I read your tweets all day long. She's like, "Oh my God, that's great. Thank you." I was like, "Oh, that's great." And the minute I turned the corner and was behind the curtain, the tears fell. I just cried like a baby. And then the guy behind me, who, by the way, was dressed like Captain Picard. He had...
Oh, jeez.
It was awesome. He goes up to me and he
Engage.
goes, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm okay. I'm fine. Everything's fine." And then I go up to get my picture, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, I can't believe I cried. I really did. And I met so many people, all the Walking Dead cast. I never cried. I don't know what it was. I think I was overwhelmed because I felt like I was actually in the show at that moment. Like I felt like I was a character it was crazy. It was crazy. And so my other big highlight, that was a huge, huge highlight. But my other big highlight was, so there's a show called Riverdale, and it's loosely based on the comic book
The
Riverdale.
Archie comics, yeah.
But it's very modern. and it's very, very popular with tweens. Very popular with tweens. And it's modern because it's updated. So it's more like if Archie was today,
Right.
what would it be like?
Right.
But none of, the kids, there's the kids cast, but then there's the parents. And for those who don't know, in Riverdale, Luke Perry played one of the fathers and from Beverly Hills 90210, and he
Right.
passed away. And they had the cast of Riverdale, but only the parents. And they talked about Luke Perry. And they showed him up on the screen. It was very sad, actually. They talked about when he died, and they actually did an episode, and he passed away on the episode. His character, they
Oh, my.
they killed him off on the character, and then they did a funeral on set to go with but he really died, so they talked about that. So I'm standing there now. I don't watch Riverdale. I've watched it maybe once, but it's very tweeny,
Right.
tweeny. But I knew Luke Perry was on it, and Mark Consuelo, who is Kelly Ripa's husband.
Oh.
He's on it too. And Skeet Ulrich is on it. And I knew that. And Skeet Ulrich, he was in Scream. He's like kind of a 90s guy.
The name rings a bell.
He's in some The Craft. He was in, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm looking at the panel, and I'm looking at the girl on the end, this redheaded girl. And I'm staring at her. I'm like, that's I nearly swore I don't want to say. I said, oh my God, that's Molly Ringwald. That's freaking Molly Ringwald. I lost my shit.
Again with the losing.
I did. I was like, that's my whole teen years was Molly Ringwald. She was like my life. Like Molly Ringwald, 16 Candles,
16
Pretty in
Candles,
Pink,
Pretty in
Pink,
Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club. This is Molly Ringwald in front of me, like you're in front of me, like this close, because I was right in the front. And I'm taking pictures, and I honestly didn't know it was her. I literally took a picture of Skeet Ulrich, and she was sitting in front, and I looked at the picture, and I thought, is that Molly Ringwald? So I had to go on my IMDb. Yes, Molly Ringwald plays one of the characters on Riverdale. I said, do they even know that Molly Ringwald is an icon of the 80s? She is a goddess of the 80s. Molly Ringwald. I nearly lost, but we couldn't meet them because it was just a panel. They just do the panel and they leave. But I wanted to jump on top of her and just be like, do you have any idea what you did to my life? Like Pretty in Pink changed my life. 16 Candles changed my life. Do you understand this, Molly?
Yeah, they sex.
Does Molly even know what Breakfast Club did to my life? Like, do you know? It was crazy. That was insane. That was, I gotta say, that moment. The angel thing was amazing, but the minute I realized that Molly Ringwald was sitting in front of me was like, I didn't even know what to do. It was insanity. I'm still shocked that I can't even believe she was sitting in front of me. It's Molly Ringwald, for God's sakes.
I understand.
Like I would watch Pretty in Pink. I get the soundtracks. I had the 16 Candles, the Pretty in Pink, St. Elmo's Fire. Oops. Breakfast Club.
Ooh.
I had the it's all John Hughes.
Here's John Parr.
And then I had the albums, and I would go home and I would listen to them, and I would just pretend and wished I was Molly Ringwald. I wish I could be Molly Ringwald. I wanted to be her, and she was in front of me.
See?
Do you have any idea?
I wish I could say I did, but I
Name a celebrity who it changed your life, inspired you.
got none.
Oh shit!
I don't.
No?
No.
Sports person, athlete.
Okay, I got one. I never mind. And you know what? This was very disappointing to me. Growing up, even as like an elementary school kid, like 4th, 5th, 6th grade, I wanted to be the radio guy. Ta-da! Here I am. But I wanted to be, on 77 WABC Music Radio at 6:11, 11 after 6, mostly cloudy, breezy, and cool tonight.
You wanted to be Howard Stern?
I didn't want to be Howard Stern.
Oh.
Did not.
Oh.
I wanted to be like, Harry Harrison, like Ron Lundy, like Dan Ingram, like, Chuck, like all the guys on WABC. I wanted to be like Don freaking Imus.
Oh, I know Don Imus.
Because Imus, Don Imus here on the Hideous program on 66 WNBC. He had the voice when he had both of his lungs, by the way.
Oh.
He was a smoker. What do you want?
I know.
You play with smoke, you're going to get burnt, so to speak.
There's a couple of people at your job. You could probably see that.
I'm just saying.
Or just one, I mean.
A couple few. Yeah. There was anyway. That was last week's topic. And he was funny. Now, granted, he was drunk and coked up most of the time, but he was funny. he had that boss jock voice, on 66 WNBC, and he had all the bits. He had all these comedic bits, and I'm like, that's that's the stuff. So from about 1976, 1977 to when I went off to college in '82, he was the dude. He was the freaking dude. I wanted to get to 7-Eleven, I'm going to say about 1981, because he did a promo to where it was 7-Eleven coffee, and he said, get down out to 7-Eleven and get my mug on the jug, because he had his face on the cup. Well, you had to be a coffee drinker, and back then I was not, so I missed out, okay? Fast forward, okay, this is now, I'm going to say about 2000, 2001, okay? He had gone from being on music radio because NBC went away and WABC has turned to talk radio, and 66, what was WNBC is now sports radio, The Fan. They kept him on in the mornings, but it was a lot of talk, a lot of topical talk, and he would have guests, and it wasn't heavily political until it started to get a little heavily political toward the end of his days. But I worked up in Scranton, Pennsylvania for the Mighty 590, WARM, part of the Citadel group of stations. There were several stations in the Mighty 590. The former Mighty 590 from the 50s, 60s, and into the 70s was a shadow of its former self. But they had the Imus in the Morning program on in the morning. And from time to time, he would go out and do his show live in the affiliates, markets, in the cities from which the affiliates emanated from. Mm-hmm. We had them all set to go in Scranton. I'm like, this is great. I lived about an hour and 10 minutes away from where they were going to have it at the Scranton Radisson, the former Delaware-Lackawanna train station. Big, giant structure was, I think, the head office as well, years and years ago. But now it's a hotel. It's a first-class, top-shelf Radisson hotel. And he came in from New York City, I guess, the night before with a, do not disturb. Well, his wife, Deirdre, I guess, was calling in, and the person at the front desk goes, I'm sorry, I can't put you through. And she raised all kinds of holy hell. She couldn't get him on the cell phone. Evidently, he was either out of the room, in the bathroom, or something. So she called the front desk. They wouldn't put her through because, again, do not disturb. I don't want to hear from anybody, please and thank you. He turned into a bit of a jerk-off, okay? But I still wanted to see him because he was the guy. I wanted to be him circa 1981. That's the guy I wanted to emulate to whatever degree. So there it was. And the show was going to begin at 6. I was going to get there at about 5:30 at the Scranton Rest, and they had the big ballroom all emptied and just rows and rows of chairs, and the big dais up front with quote, literally his chair in the middle. And I get there, and everybody's like, and there's no Imus. I turn on the Mighty 590, and there he is. I was in the morning program here. I was supposed to be in Scranton. And doesn't he put, because his wife couldn't get through. So she calls the cell phone again, gets him, and says, they wouldn't put me through. He rips the staff of the hotel a new one, says, I'm out of here. At like 0:30, he couldn't get a load of this. This is the prima donna this jerk-off has turned into, okay?
Turned into.
Well, maybe he was all the time. I didn't know it, but
Yeah.
he certainly was at this point, okay? From New York City to Scranton, about, I'm going to say, a 2-hour jump, okay? He calls his limo guy and says, come over here and get me. Meanwhile, the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre Airport is literally 6 minutes away. He could have jumped a little flight to New York, gotten back. No, he had his limo driver come and get him, okay? Packed up all of his stuff, and off he went in time to do the show live from the studios in New York, and proceeded to do nothing but put the bad mouth on the hotel people, on our program director, on the radio station, on the city, on everything that had to do with it. And I'm like, you know what? You just totally freaking ruined it for me. But I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be Imus in the Morning, circa 77 to 82.
I'm talking about someone who changed my life. You're talking about Imus?
He did, because
Did he change your life?
he got me on the radio.
But he just said he was a douche.
This was in 2000, 2001, when I was able to get on the radio.
You were already. You're right.
In the
So
fall
you were disappointed that he ended up being a douche.
hugely. I was
okay.
crestfallen, as my mother would say.
Yeah.
But in 1982, when I went out to school, and part of the reasons I went to Susquehanna University, slowly I turned.
Was it because of him?
No, it was because they had a real good, and they still do, have a real good communications/radio broadcast department facility.
That's why I
okay?
went to my school too.
Yeah. And, when I got on...
Concordia University.
Which one?
Concordia University.
In?
Montreal.
Right on. So when I got out to Susquehanna, the first thing I did was, some people tried out for football. I went and I got my ass on the Great 68 WQSU AM. Okay? And back then you had to get your FCC, which I still have in my wallet, you had to get your FCC license, A, and 2, you had to be approved by those who ran the FM station that has a big signal. The only one bigger in Pennsylvania is Duquesne University, by the way, just saying. You had to be approved to go on the FM. I was on the AM right after Labor Day, okay, of 82. I was on the FM before the end of October. That's because I wanted to be the radio guy, just like Don freaking Imus was back in those days. I did all kinds of, I did on the AM, I did all sorts of funny little bits because the AM was carrier current. It didn't go out over the air. The buildings had to be wired for it.
Right.
Okay? So it only got picked up on certain buildings. But the freshman dorms, the girls' dorm and the guys' dorm, and a few of the other dorms and a few of the buildings, they got it. And there was a big cookout, and for the freshmen, like welcome week, and I was on the air when the cookout was happening, and I did funny bits, and they had the radios coming out of the windows.
What kind of food did you have at the cookout?
Hot dogs and hamburgers, just
cookout food.
Cookout food. And then about halfway through it, I'm like, listen, it's time for me to go. My air shift begins, and I had, by that time, about a week and a half in, I had made enough friends. I said, listen, put the radio out, so outside you could, and the window, so outside you could hear it. I'll play, give me a call. It's extension 252 on the campus phone, and let me know what you want to hear. And if I got it in the thing, I'll play it for you. And we had a hell of a time. I was the guy.
You were the guy.
And then I was ready to meet the guy.
Yeah.
And he disappointed the hell out of me because he turned into a prima donna jerk off. Yeah. And so it goes. But that's about it. There's really nobody who was like, I don't know. Yeah, I need to be like that. No.
I think there's just certain people that affect me certain ways, but Molly Ringwald was definitely one of them because I just grew up. That's what she was the queen at that time.
Well, there for a while, you couldn't swing a dead cat without seeing her on the movies or the TV.
Right. And John Hughes.
Yeah.
She was John Hughes' muse, but that's what she was.
Yeah, I know.
So that was, but Comic-Con in general is pretty amazing, but it's like super, like if you are claustrophobic or you don't like crowds, do not go to Comic-Con. I can tell you this right now. I love Comic-Con, but you have to really be tolerant of crowds because it's at the Javits Center in New York City,
right.
But they stuff like thousands, it feels like, of people into this exhibition center, even though there's like 4 floors of stuff. There are so many people. I mean, literally, people knock into you. It's worse than being on the streets of Manhattan. I mean, it's terrible. Yeah. And it's really, I had one girl just literally pushed me out of the way. Like, literally just pushed me. Like, goodbye. I was like, bitch, no, you didn't. But then I looked back, she was gone. It was like mysterious. I was like, what just happened? But you have to bob and weave the whole time. It's like you gotta turn and turn, and it takes you a good hour to get from one end to the other. It's really, really, really difficult.
See, there was a time when I didn't mind because I'm taller than most.
You are
out there, okay? So I can see ahead. Like even a couple of weeks ago when we went to the Bloomsburg Fair, I don't mind that. It's very crowded, especially on a good weather day at the Bloomsburg Fair every year. But I don't mind it so much because it's just like a comfortable old show. I've been going to the Bloom Fair since I was like 4 or 5 years old. Okay, so that's the one.
When you're comfortable because you've been there.
Right.
Before, right.
And it because of familiarity, I'm like, okay, I can handle a crowd. But to me, anymore, the definition of a crowd is no thanks. I'm just.
Yeah,
no.
you would freak.
Yeah.
You would freak.
I mean, even though I can see above, probably 90% of the people out there being damn near 6'3" tall, just anymore, it's like, oh, no. I just, you know what? Don't you want, oh, so you're a big New York Giants fan? Yes, I am. So how many games have you seen at Giant Stadium or MetLife Stadium? Yeah, none. What? None. I don't want to go. It's too crowded.
Yeah, it's.
I can fire up the nice big, HD TV in the TV room in the den and at the house, or out in Bloomsburg, in the living room, and it's. I can go to the bathroom when I want. I can get the food that I want when I want, not have to pay $15 for a shot glass of beer.
Right.
A crowd is
Yeah,
a no thank you.
You would have freaked. I mean, it's intense. It's intense, and I can say I'm used to it now, but definitely I would never. Going by myself is probably the smartest thing you can do, because you have to, like, bob, weave, go here, go there, go this, up, down, there, this way, this way. And if you're with somebody else, you're going to be like, come with me, let's go this way, let's go this way. No, it doesn't work. It's definitely a solo event, but it is worth it. It was fun.
Nice.
Had a good time.
That's the bottom line.
You know where I just bought a ticket for?
Ticket to ride? I don't know.
Christmas convention. Did you know there's a Christmas convention?
Tell me more.
I didn't know.
I had no idea.
It's my friend and neighbor, Melanie. She texted me like 11 o'clock last night. She said, I'm about to buy a ticket for a convention. You want to go? So, me and conventions. I'm like, what kind of convention is it? She goes, it's a Christmas convention. I go, what? Christmas convention. So I looked it up.
Where are they holding it?
It's going to be in Edison at the
Expo Center.
Expo Center in
Yeah,
Edison.
where my train show is.
It's all Christmas decorations. And that's it.
When is this happening?
Second week of November, I think, something like that.
Just in time so you can get things and or send away for things and get them to decorate for Christmas.
Normally, I would not go. However, she asked me, and I said yes. So I'm going to go to the Christmas convention. And I think that would be a very interesting convention to go to.
There's the Triple X convention going on up there, I think, if not this week.
Triple X, like porn?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's in Vegas.
It's at
There's a porn one in New Jersey?
Oh, yeah.
Shut up.
Nope.
And how would you know that, sir?
Doesn't matter. I just know what I know.
How would you know that,
if you
sir?
know what I mean.
I would think that I would know, because I know about all the conventions, including the Triple X one.
I don't think you do.
Well, I know about the Vegas one because that one's pretty popular. But there's a Triple X one in New Jersey, in Edison.
Yep.
Ooh, you want to go?
In the immortal words of O.J. Simpson, I would love to. I would love to.
I don't know. My curiosity would just make me go, just because. I mean, do they just sit around at tables and talk about porn, or do they have like is it live sex?
I've been to one, but they're
oh my god,
supposedly, and I don't know this to be sure,
that's
but supposedly
crazy.
Stormy Daniels may be part of the.
I don't care about her.
I don't either. But
I mean, and it has nothing to do with Trump. It just has to do with the fact that I didn't think she was anything exciting prior to that.
I didn't either.
I mean, I'm talking like the porn stars, like old school porn. I don't know new porn.
Vanessa Del Rio.
I don't know. See, you know what my porn is?
Back.
My porn is now. I told you my first job. I'm sure I've said it on the air before.
Right.
Was a video store, and I became. I did all the ordering, and I had to order all the porn, and I had to do this. I was still like a virgin, or I didn't even really have, but. When I was ordering, it was like Ginger Lynn and Amber Lynn.
Oh, yeah.
Who weren't really sisters, by the way.
No, but I thought Amber Lynn was beautiful.
Ginger Lynn used to date Charlie Sheen.
Ginger Lynn used to have her own show on, I don't think the channel exists anymore, but on Sirius XM 102.
She had her own show?
Yeah, just like 4 or 5 years ago.
No.
I would listen all the time. I'm like,
oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, Ginger Lynn and Sika.
Oh, Sika. Oh, my.
Remember that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy mind synapse.
I know. There you go. And then also Tracy Lords, who became legitimate actress, and all her DVDs got pulled, or DVDs, it was VH videos, got pulled because they found out that when she was doing her pornography, she was actually under the age of 18, under the age of consent. And they didn't find that until after. So any of the porn that was shot prior to her 18th birthday was pulled. And I remember they actually sent me a thing in the mail. I had to pull all of them off the shelves. We were allowed to keep like 2 of them because they were later and they were after her 18th birthday.
Oh,
but But that was the education for me for sex, because I had no idea anything about sex until I worked at a video store and had to close at night and lock the doors. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll watch some of these. I got to order these. Are they good? And some of them were pretty effed up. And now you have to remember the regulations and stuff back then. People weren't. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen porn recently, but I can say there was some very choice pornography that was questionable and uncomfortable at times.
Well, because you think about it, it was only accessible at that point.
The video store.
I mean, but now before that, of course, and still there were the movie houses.
Well, yeah, the movie where Pee Wee Herman got, and he was at Comic-Con, by the way. Funny, we're talking about porno and the theater, but he was at Comic-Con. Anyway, go ahead.
P.we, or is it?
I like Pee Wee Herman, but anyway, go ahead.
Paul Rubens.
Paul Rubens, correct.
It was either at the theater and then all of a sudden, the video.
The video came out.
Again, back to my buddy Rob.
VHS.
He, I don't know where he got his hands on it, but his mom and dad were away. He's like, he called my buddy Doug and me. He said, "Listen, you got to come over. We're like, I don't know, 17. You got to come over." I can picture it. The guy is on the side of the road in a sports car. He ran out of gas, and I can picture her. The woman who was the female star of the movie comes over and says, "Oh." He called like AAA or something, and she comes with a can of gas with the thing, the siphon. He's like, "Well, how am I going to get this into the car?" She goes, "Well, you just got to suck on the tube. Listen, you suck on the tube, and I'll suck on this." And then the way they went.
Well, there you go. That's such a classic. First of all, I got to put this out there too. The thing about porn, and it's not like I haven't, I mean, I did watch a lot of porn when I was in my 20s because that's what you did back then. Not now. But this I can say, I hated the stories. Like I used to go like, why? What is the point? Like I didn't understand. Hey, what's up? Like the anticipation. No. You just go and do what you got to do and get it done and move on to the next couple or whatever. It made me crazy. I'd be like, who in their right mind sits through this? Like who sits through that part? I mean, and then they act like, it's like you're auditioning for this movie. Do you think you're the right person for this movie? Well, I do. Oh, why don't you show me? Show me if you're the good. But the script would be longer. It would be
it's so Dirk
8
Diggler,
minutes.
Dirk Diggler and Amber Waves, Chest
Waves.
Rockwell. Like, come on,
Roller Girl. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, you got like 8 minutes of like, so Joe, that's a nice pair of pants you got on.
Well, thanks, Mary. I just got them at the Disco Boutique.
Oh, thanks. And then you get through the talking. You're like, finally. We're going to get some sexual stuff going on. You're going to get some.
Can we get some thwacking going on here, please?
Some sexy time. And then it takes them like an hour to get to the sexy time. It's like especially the girl on girl stuff. They take way too long. They're like, let's unbutton the shirt. And I'm like, God forbid, just do it. Do it and get it over with. Who does that? That was my biggest annoyance with pornography. And I'm telling you, I just don't get it. Just do all the sexual acts. And scratch out all that other stuff. It would be better, don't you think?
I don't disagree. There was a gal I saw back in '85 for a while, '85, '86.
She was a porn star?
No. Beautiful. She looked like she actually looked like she could have been like Morgan Fairchild's daughter. I mean, she was.
Morgan Fairchild.
Yeah, I got to get with my girlfriend, Morgan Fairchild. Yeah, that's the ticket. What she did, she was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, to me, and she had the platinum blonde hair.
But did the carpet match? No, go. Sorry.
Yeah, it did.
Gross.
Platinum.
What kind of show is this? This is family oriented.
No, I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
And I came home, I forget when it was, what break, my senior year in college, and she says, "Hey, why don't you come over?" Remember we got talking about this whole topic, like, the previous, when I was home previously or in the summer. I said, yeah. She goes, "Get a load of this. I got a copy of Debbie Does Dallas. Why don't you come over?
Oh, my God,
we'll have some laughs."
Dallas. That's old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we just sat there, and, okay, yes, there were a few moments when we did not howl, but we just, about 90% of the movie, we just sat there and laughed our asses off. Just howled at the whole thing. Because again, like you said, very hokey.
Oh, so hokey.
Just horrible,
hokey.
horrible acting.
Oh.
Oh my goodness, just terrible,
so
terrible,
hockey.
terrible.
Ooh, is that the phone?
Is it? What?
Is that a porn star?
But yeah, they got the whole porn con going up at the thing. At the
Is that how we started talking about this?
Yeah, it is. You know what? There's a billboard on the way up, so on the turnpike. That's how I found out about it.
billboard?
Yeah, it's a big giant billboard.
Shut up.
I'm not shutting up because it's. I'll see it
Oh
tonight.
my God.
Going up the turnpike.
I think there's a
between,
con for everything. There's
yeah.
like a table con, and there's like a plug con, and a shirt con.
Wrath
and
of Con. I mean,
Wrath
you know
of
the
Con.
whole thing.
Oh, they had
Wrath of
a
Con,
new
Wrath of Con, Shaka Khan.
movie preview, Picard, which was
What do we think?
Jean-Luc Picard.
Of course,
Looks good to me. I
All
love all
right.
that stuff, though.
I know.
I'm down with all that. I'm down with all that
The Star
stuff.
Trek.
Yeah, I
I'm a
like
big Star Trek aficionado.
Oh my God, I know. And you know what, Rob Winter, he would have loved to have seen Picard. He would have loved to seen that preview. I'm telling you. But I was talking.
We have
about
matching heads.
Oh my God, yeah. so fun. It was. I'm telling you, I do love. And I always say it's so crowded. I always go, I'm never going back. Never going back. And then I'm like, I'll go.
Okay, very good.
I'll go. You know, being not working, you start to like find things to do, and I've been just putzing around doing things. You know, I had a wonderful interview, by the way. So cross your
good.
fingers. I'll find out tomorrow.
Here we
but
go.
I had a really good interview.
Hoop-de-doo, hoop-de-doo.
But anyway, so I have been binge watching a show, and everybody talks about this show.
Everybody's
and it's mostly
talking at
younger
me.
generation, because you know me, my mind is like a 14-year-old mind. But it's so popular. It's won all these awards, and everybody I know talks about it. And I said, I have to start watching the show just to see. And
The
it's called
show is?
Stranger Things, it's called. And it's on Netflix.
I got nothing.
Well, it's probably the #1 show on Netflix, and it's like I said, they're everywhere. You see people wearing the T-shirts. I mean, it's crazy. This show is so popular. I said,
Okay.
I'm gonna take a chance on this, right?
Okay.
Let me tell you something.
If you change your mind, take a chance. Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Although you know, there's an ABBA tribute band that's really good in New Jersey.
What are they called? Got to tell Maggie.
Really good, really good. And it's the ABBA and the Bee Gees, both tribute band together in New Jersey.
Wow.
And they have video. They're freaking good. I'm going to show you when we're
Take
off
a
the
chance
air.
and barely alive.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to show you when we get off the air.
All right.
The videos are really good. But anyway, so this show is so freaking good.
How freaking good is it?
OMG. This show is the new TRACY, and it's been around. It's already had 3 seasons, so I'm late in the game.
Oh,
But because I never had time on my hand to binge watch, I never had time. And then the problem is, I would start watching it at nighttime, and I would fall asleep just because I was tired. I said I have to watch it now because I'm awake and I have the time. And oh my God, I can't do anything else but watch this show. Do you know what I did before I came here?
what did you do?
I watched that freaking
Of
show,
course, see?
and I knew I had 5 minutes left, and I'm like, I got to go do my radio show. But wait, I got 5 minutes. I have to see the end of this, and I can't wait to get home and keep watching it. Like I'm obsessed. And this was the first episode I was done. That's how good it is. It's kind of like if you took Poltergeist and E.T. and 16 Candles and put it together,
Whoa.
because it takes place in the 80s, and it's teenagers, but it's aliens and horror, and it's scary, and it's like the story very well written, very well acted, and many layers to it. And there's kid actors, adult actors. I mean, and it takes place in the 80s, so the music is all 80s music.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, this show kicks my ass. Like, I'm obsessed with this
Tell
show,
me the
and I've
name
only
again?
seen like 4 episodes. Huh?
Tell me the name again.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
It's amazing.
Huh.
I'm like, it's my
You're
new
hooked.
thing. Well, that's going to be my new Comic-Con, because next year I'm going to be looking for Stranger Things, because I am obsessed. But now I get why everybody else is obsessed with it, because all my friends are like, this is the best show ever. And I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. I'm done.
Now you've gotten to it.
I'm done now. This is my new thing. But I can't watch it at night because I'm too tired at 10 o'clock at night. I can't I gotta binge watch it before I start working again.
But right now, where do you got to be?
Well,
You
this
know,
is the thing.
like the guy in the Flintstones. I'm unemployed, you know.
Right. So I got a job interview, and I'm very lucky, because if I can get the interview, I can get the job. I'm pretty confident that way.
I understand.
But getting the interview, that's what's hard.
That's
Getting them in the door.
Not
is
like
hard.
it used to be. It's a
Not like it
different-
used to
We
be.
live in a different world than we did back then.
And I had a great interview with someone, and he said to me, "I like you, Tracy." I said, "Oh, thank you." He goes, "No, I really like you." I don't think I've ever anybody say that to me.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, and I said, "Okay." And he said,
Get in line, bub.
And he said,
Why do
I
you
have,
think
I
I'm
have
here?
to interview a couple more people, but I can tell you something. He says, I want you to work here, but I have to do my due diligence and I have to interview
No, of
some
course,
people."
of course.
But I was like, okay. He goes, so you'll hear from me on Thursday. And
Wow.
that was it. And it is, well, I don't even want to say what it is. I don't want to jinx it. But I'm hoping I can get it, and then I start on Monday. But that means I have a time period to binge watch.
Let's go.
3 seasons.
Hurry up.
And it's really quick. And then I got to sub on Friday night, and then I got to teach on Saturday. I got to make my time. How am I going to do this?
One bit at a time.
John, help me.
Well, you get the thing. You got to come home, you walk the dog, and then see an episode. You can't be turning on an episode at 10 o'clock at night.
No. Did you didn't see it? You don't have HBO. But The Great Depression was on.
Oh yes, I so want to see that. We don't even have it out at the house.
No,
I mean, it's just-
yeah, you gotta bootleg it. Sorry, Gary, but that's kind of the way it goes. But it's interesting.
I heard
Go
sidebar
ahead.
for a
Go,
second,
go.
but
Yeah.
related. So there I am. What am I listening to? It was last Thursday morning or Friday morning. I can picture I'm going through the Turnpike toll booth by me in East Brunswick, and I'm listening to, I don't know if it was Q104.3 or WFAN 101.9 FM, where there was a commercial on for the Great Depression.
Shut up. Was
I
it
kid you-
a radio commercial?
Yes, sir.
There was a
As you
radio
yourself would
commercial
say.
for the Great Depression.
Exactly right. It's exactly right. I'm like, wait, it wasn't. It was, done. Maybe it was an HBO commercial.
Oh, yeah,
but it was
probably.
for that show.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was for that show. I'm like, I kind of almost know that dude through you.
You're 1 degree of separation. Well, it's funny because I have such a history with Gary, and I love Gary dearly. But you know what's so funny? I have known Gary.
Gary.
I met Gary almost 30 years ago.
Oh.
We've been friends a long time.
Wow.
And when Gary and I met, I was, I think, 22 years old, 23 maybe. And Gary was a college student at, I think he was at BU or BC. I can't remember. I think it might have been BC, but he was a CPA, studying to be a CPA. And I used to work in a Jewish deli.
Oi.
And a lot of celebrities used to come there. And it
Right.
used to be the owner of Legal Seafoods
Hell of a
every
mess
morning.
every day.
Bob Kraft every morning. He used to get bagels and lox.
Right.
But this was when the Patriots were horrible. This is when they
course.
sucked, so it didn't matter. Oh, there's Bob Kraft. He owns the Patriots. Who cares? They suck.
Whoop-de-doo, whoop-de-doo.
Right.
Your team
so it was
stinks.
back
Goodbye.
in the day. Right. Exactly. But Gary would always come in with his friends, and I still remember this. One of his friends was his father owned FAO Schwartz in New York.
No.
Yeah, he was a
Oh, I
Schwartz.
used to love that place.
So his son was friends with Gary.
Oh,
So I was a waitress, and Gary said to me, "Oh, I want you to be my waitress." Blah blah blah. He'd always request me,
Yeah.
and he'd call me the waitress or waitress. That's what he would call me, even though he knew my name. And then he started inviting me to parties, and I met all his friends, whatever. But we had it was a friendship, but it was kind of flirty at some point. Then it wasn't anymore. Then we were just friends. Then we weren't talking. Then they were flirty. Then weren't. And 15 years ago, he started doing shows. He told me I'm going to be he quit school.
oh,
Said I'm going to be a stand-up comic.
all right.
So he dropped out of school, dropped out of college.
Yeah, I wonder how that went with his Jewish parents.
Yeah, I guess not. And I mean, there's so much. I mean, I've been to his parents' house in Peabody, Mass. But here's the crazy thing: is that he left me a voicemail too, actually, 15 years ago. And for some crazy, crazy reason, I said to myself,
Self?
this man is going to be famous. Guarantee this man's going to be famous. And I had it in my head, so I kept his
The
voicemails.
No.
I did.
No.
And to this day, I still have. He doesn't know that. It's not stalkerish, Gary. So don't take.
Not much.
Not much. Well, but it was like in my
Oh,
head.
I've got you. Wink.
He's married now, so and his wife's name is Sade, which is so funny to me because
She's a real smooth
she's
operator.
a smooth operator.
Tell you
But it's so funny to me because I forgot I had them.
Or is she the sweetest taboo? That's the big
That
question.
too. It's no ordinary love between them.
That's all
really.
I'm saying.
Yeah. But how crazy is that? So I still have his voicemails to me. But we used to text each other and everything. I mean, we were good friends. But then, he moved to New York, and I went my separate way, whatever. But I always followed him on social media, always. And him and Dane Cook came up the same time, and it was Dane Cook himself and another comedian. He's gonna kill me for not remembering him because he slept with my roommate. Oh, he did. He slept with my roommate at the time. Bob.
Yikes.
Robert Kelly. That's his name. So it was Robert Kelly, Dane Cook, and Gary, and the three of them actually came up together in Boston, and were on Nick's Comedy Stop, Comedy Connection, and then they did a special on HBO 15 years ago.
Wow.
And the three of them before they were famous, and Dane was the one who took off.
Right.
The other two kind of didn't. Robert Kelly's been
Yet.
around. Well, Robert Kelly kind of he was on the show.
R. Kelly, he's got problems now.
Not that R. Kelly.
Oh. What?
He was on the show. What's the show with
Gilligan's
that
Island.
comedian? No. Oh God. The show was the comedian. Now he's not doing anything because he got sexual harassment charges, so that didn't work out for him. But he was doing Louis C.K.
Louis, new
Yes.
episode, Tuesday.
He was in the show.
FX.
Robert
Really?
Kelly was in that show.
Really?
He played his friend, bald, fat, short.
Yeah.
That was his friend. So
And he got jiggy with your roommate?
he did. She did.
Oh
He did.
my, oh my.
So, and I remember because
So
Robert
you're
Kelly
saying
came
I've got
over.
a chance.
Robert Kelly came over. Gary came over, but me and Gary didn't do anything. But Robert Kelly and her did. And I don't know why I remembered that, but Gary always remembered that her and Robert Kelly hooked up. Isn't that funny? It's so weird. But I always had and the funny thing is, I love Gary, and I always loved Gary, and I always felt like he was going to go far. And then when Dane took off, I was like, why isn't Gary? What's going on with Gary? Why isn't this happening? And then but I'm hoping,
There's a better
praying.
thing, and this whole bit could
That's
be
what
the
I'm
deal.
hoping for. And what's crazy is that if you watch it, and I hope you get to watch it, I'm going
I
to see if
I
can,
really would love to.
I'm going to find it
No
for you.
joke.
Because he talks about, he went through an incredibly stressful bout with depression and was suicidal. And I'm like,
whoa.
I've known this guy forever, and I never saw any signs of, but then that I hate to say this, but it's almost like so many comedians are suicidal. So many of them. Look what happened with Robin Williams, but so many of them are
they
depressed.
say, I have to say that and I'll not nearly to the Robin Williams or Gary Gulman degree, but I will speak from a modicum of experience being a somewhat humorous guy. It's not difficult. It's not difficult to get into a very
A rut.
unhappy,
An unhappy place.
situation, an unhappy mood, and it's not a snap out of it like Moonstruck. It's like, you know what? It's not too long ago.
That's part of his line.
Is
he
that
says
right?
one of the jokes is like, how do you get out of depression? He goes, back in the day, they'd say just snap
Out of it, yeah.
Like, what do you got to be depressed about? That kind of stuff.
You know what? And to a degree, it's exactly correct. But to another degree, you know what? You don't live in here. You don't live in here.
And you're right.
Okay? I live in here. Okay? I live in here. And not too long ago, I have to say, I was just, the Italians call it mushat. I was mushad.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get out of it. I faked it. You probably had no idea.
I think I don't think anybody knows when someone's depressed. I don't think so.
I don't get to the point of, being suicidal. I'm not going to say at those levels that I don't think about what's next
Right.
after this life, but I'm not.
Well, to take your life.
No,
That's an
no.
ultimate.
Boy, it took me, and I don't know that I'm still fully out of it, to be honest with you.
Right.
But it's just one of those things if I talk to you, outside of here, or I went to somebody who that's their specialty, I couldn't tell you why.
Right.
I don't have an answer, but I tell you what, as one who, I kind of fancy myself, and have been told, moreover, I'm not, dig me, he's quick, he's witty, he's funny, he's humorous, he's the wit's right there. How, gee, if I heard it once, I've heard it 100 times. Does your mind never turn off? And
Yeah,
sometimes
right.
and sometimes it doesn't. And,
Right.
You know what I mean?
And yes, I've heard that.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Really?
Right.
I mean,
right.
this goes back. Okay, this freshman year of college, there was Firestone had a tire out at that point. Was the Firestone 721 steel belted radio, because that was the new thing back there.
Yep.
7 belts of steel. Around 2, wrapped by 1. The Firestone 721. Okay, so and they ran that commercial. I remember seeing that probably my junior and senior year of high school into freshman year of college. So like 80, 81, 82. One morning, okay, and classes at the Susquehanna were 8 o'clock classes, the first ones. Okay, one morning, not quite 40 minutes beforehand, my roommate is like, "Oh man, my alarm didn't go off. Damn it! I wanted to get a shower. I wanted to go up for breakfast. John, what time is it?" Looked over at the digital clock, and I just said 7 around 2, wrapped by 1. He goes, "Oh my God, does it ever turn off with you?" Like laughing at the time, because he knew 7:21. Okay, so there's that.
Right.
Yes, but there's also, again, mushad,
I think.
and I don't know why.
I think people who are funny and have minds like that are constantly running, where it's like a wheel. You can't sleep at night. You have insomnia.
Sometimes.
You're right. You're
not
lying
always.
in bed and you're
I'm not
thinking
bad.
about
There are
stuff.
people who I know who are cut out of a similar bowl of cloth that
Sure.
that they don't sleep. If
They
they
don't
get
sleep.
a couple hours a night, they're doing good.
Yeah.
Okay, they're
Yeah.
doing real well. I sleep. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
hit the
that's
rack
good that you
tonight at
sleep.
about 11 o'clock, and I'll
Nice.
and
Hit
I'll
the-
and I'll
And you're out. You're down for the count.
I'm done, unless I have to get up and use the bathroom, which I may do once or twice. But other than that,
TMI.
even there, I go
Yeah.
right back out. No, the point being, I
I
go
know.
right back out.
Yeah.
But maybe once or twice a month, I'm like, okay, can't turn it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't turn it off. I think comedians, especially ones that are brilliant and constantly thinking like Robin Williams. I think
Could you imagine having been in his head?
his brain. I mean, it just he probably could never turn it off.
No.
I don't think he ever could. I don't think
No.
he ever got to that point where he turned it off. And I think when people are really, really, really funny, and I have an incredible sense of humor, sometimes that sense of humor develops from childhood because you're masking sadness, you're masking emptiness, you're masking depression, and in order to overcome those things, you use humor. And I think that has a lot to do with it. When you're a funny person, you're masking a lot of sadness and depression. I think my humor developed after my mother passed away. I don't think I was particularly I may have been funny, but I think that when my mother passed away and I was 18 years old and I was on my own, I thought to myself, I think that my mother's death changed me profoundly as
I
a
would
person.
think so.
It really did. And I was very young, and I all I could think about is that my mother would not be there to watch me grow up. She would not watch me become a woman. I was on the cusp of being a woman at 18, but my mother was sick for a while, and I think she got sick when I was about 16. And I think that in order for me to cover a lot of pain, I always would make jokes. And because you worked with me for 3 years.
Of course.
And this is what got me apparently in trouble because I have a sense of humor. But a lot of the time,
Well, that's why I'm on.
This is the
double secret,
right.
whatever you want to call
This
it.
is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's we are humorous people. We make jokes because that's who we are. This is a character trait that developed through me, and I'm sure through the loss of your mother. It's these things contribute to you, your
Tracy,
grandfather.
this has been going on since I was
I smell weed.
preschool.
Yeah.
You think? This has been going on since I've been, 4 or 5 years old. And I think back then, yeah, I may have to go in the other room afterwards. Anyway, I think as a young kid and even growing up in through my tweens and teens and a good bit of it was that when I would do something that was considered funny, whether it was jokey or an impersonation. I was always impersonating people. My grandmother used to get angry with me because she thought I was mocking her. Okay, I would do her laugh. I can't do it anymore because my voice is I'm not a kid. Her voice was kind of high. And it was but it was a okay, but a lot higher and a lot louder. And I used to do that spot on, to the point to where about a year or 2 or 3 after, maybe even more, it might have been about 4, 5, 6 years after she had passed, all of my aunts and uncles and cousins were getting together at one of the cousins' house, and somebody said something that my grandmother would have said. And off in the wings, I heard it, and I did her laugh. And then just like that, quiet. Everybody was like, look, what was that? I haven't heard that in like 6, 7, 8 years. Yeah, and my youngest aunt, my mom's youngest sister, I couldn't tell if she was tearing up sad or if she was pissed off that I did it. But my grandma used to think I was mocking her. And I would tell her, and when I was a little kid, I didn't know what mocking was. What the hell's mock? I don't know. It's Ralph Mouth.
Yeah.
Mock, okay? I didn't know what the heck it was.
Right.
Finally, as I got older, and I had her around till I was 15 and a half years old. So I was, not a little boy anymore. I had some sense about me. And one time I did something, probably the laugh, and she said, "Why, you need to not mock me. That's not good." I'm like, "Grammy, you have to understand. It's not a mocking. It's an impersonation, okay? It's an imitation." And even then I'm like, the old saying, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Right.
Okay? I said, that's what it is. I'm not mocking you. I'm not belittling you. I'm not putting you down.
No.
It's, I love you awful, and this is a way, basically, for me to keep a piece of you with me until, I got far enough out of my 20s to where I don't do the high voices anymore. I can't do them.
Right.
I can't do them. Okay? But I was always doing that.
Yeah.
And
But
then
again, humor.
yeah.
And that's what it was.
And you know what? But to me, as a younger kid, it was like, look at that. They liked that. She liked that. He liked that. They think that's good. It was almost like a drug.
Right. Right.
And then as I got a little older, from when my grandfather, when my poppy passed away when I was 11, on through, I'm the guy at the funeral who's very quietly, but cracking jokes to where, I'm standing right next to you. It's like, hey, yeah, do you think he's got short pants on and no back in his jacket? and you're like, okay. And I just sort of deadpan it, because I don't want people to feel sad.
Right.
Even
what it is.
at sad things.
It's rewarding for someone to laugh at my jokes, or someone
Right.
thinks I'm funny. When someone says, "Oh, you're really funny," and I make them laugh, that makes me feel good.
Hello.
And the fact that some people thought that my humor was negative or
That's
something
incorrect.
that it was not, and
It's
never
completely
was.
incorrect.
But unfortunately, you have people who are just idiots, and that's the way it goes.
Idiotic perception is their reality.
Does it
I
smell
mean,
like weed in here?
A little bit.
I smell weed.
Yeah.
That's not chicken. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's not.
What's the seasoning on the chicken, Gene?
I'm
What?
curious as to why people keep peeking into this room.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Hey, man.
let me tell you something. I have the worst eyesight. I mean, I'm practically blind, but my hearing and sense of smell is spot on.
You ain't
Let me
got
tell
kids,
you.
but you got that mother hearing and sniffing, don't you?
I definitely do. I can smell that a mile away. Through a stone wall, I can. Let me tell you. So let's just throw that out there.
Oh man, yeah, I would like to see the Great Depression. I really would,
I
because
think
you know what? I think there may
we'll
be
find it for you.
aspects that I just might identify
It's very
with.
good. It's very good because besides the fact that he's my friend, but I think that learning the stuff about him I had no idea about, I didn't know, and the struggle he went through, the pain he went through his depression, was very interesting to me. But then he's so funny. So he had some really, really funny bits in there as well. So it's almost like you're sad, but then you're happy, then you're sad, then you're happy. You go through like a little range of emotions. It's very well done. It's done by Judd Apatow.
Nice.
And so it's very well done. I hope this brings him the success he deserves because he's a good person. He's very funny, and I've known him such a long time, and I love him dearly. And I hope that he gets the success he deserves because he's worked very hard,
Well,
very, very hard.
And you
for
know
30
what?
years almost, you know?
Oh, and there you go. You know, you get these
time.
people who say, "Well, here's so and so, the fill in the blank entertainer, comedian, magician, actor, singer, whatever, musician. Well, here's so and so, the overnight success." Well, they don't realize that so and so is like 50 years old or 48 years
Sure.
old and been doing this since they've been 18 years old.
Right. And,
Trying to make a little something, for themselves.
yeah, and Gary is in his 50s, early 50s. So he's,
And there you have it.
yeah. So and he dropped out of college to do this.
Right on.
That's what he did. So it's just I
and
want you to watch it.
I'm sure
Definitely.
that through the
watch
years, he's had to slug it through the various comedy clubs and whatnot,
Sure.
scraping by. But, as he got better and more notoriety, you know what? Even like Artie Lang, okay? Here's a guy who, to me, and I'm not in that circle clearly, but to me, I wouldn't necessarily call him the A+ list of comedians. I'd call him a high B+ into the A category, for a variety of reasons. But he's not like top shelf. He's not like before he got weird. He's not like the Cosbys, the Carlins, and so forth.
Well, Eddie Murphy's going back to stand up.
I heard that. I heard that, and not like Eddie Murphy
Oof.
back 35 years ago.
dude, but I wanna see
but,
that.
But here's a guy, Trace, who will go and do one set
Yeah.
for like 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, like 10, 15 years ago, and get 80 grand.
Sure.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
That's really, and he's doing this, several times a month. I don't know if he still is. I think he's back. He was in bad shape physically and with the
Yeah,
drugs
he
and
ki-
stuff.
he goes back and forth, yeah.
But I think he's
know how that
back and
works.
okay. He lost a lot of weight, and I think he's back at it. But how does it? So even if he's not like Ron White, Jeff Foxworthy, George Carlin, Eddie Murphy, good Bill Cosby status, okay, he may just be killing it in his own right.
Yeah.
Like Artie.
I hope this is where
I
he
hope
needs
so,
to
too.
go, where he needs to go. He's touring too. He is doing some shows in New Jersey, and I'm trying to remember what. I'll let you know
That'd be
what the
neat.
venue is.
That'd be
maybe.
neat to see.
Yeah, he's very good, and he's you can look him up on YouTube too. He has a lot of good,
Absolutely.
and his bit about abbreviations of states is actually the most popular, is the most downloaded comedic bit. They said something like
Nice.
that, so it's very
Nice.
good. So we'll have to look that up. But congratulations to Gary for the Great Depression.
Absolutely.
HBO, which I'm sure is
HBO.
showing it over and over again. But
Of course.
so what's up for you? What's your agenda? Are
got-
you going to PA?
I am
this
not.
weekend?
I am not.
Why?
Because I'm just not.
You're not.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not going.
'Cause I went last week. I went
So
last week.
so.
So I got things to do around here.
Oh wow. Okay. Anything else?
That I've been out there 3 out of the last 4 weekends, and I'm tired of it. That's
What?
enough already.
So what are you going to do this weekend?
I don't know. My buddy and me, who I've known since first grade, his birthday is today.
Happy birthday.
Right, Michael
Michael.
Ioneri. I'm sorry, Michael Seacard on Facebook. His birthday is today. Mine
Who's
is
my
on
friend on Facebook?
SICARD.
I think he friended me. Anyways, go ahead.
I've known him since like 1970. He and I may get together. His birthday's today. Mine's on Saturday.
What?
His is today. Mine's on Saturday.
Your birthday's this Saturday?
Yeah.
What the freak?
Well, it happens every year.
No, I didn't know it was this Saturday.
Well, now you know.
It's John's birthday this Saturday, everybody.
Double nickels. I don't want to be
I'm gonna have
55.
to buy you a cake or something. I would have done it today. It's this Saturday. Oh, happy birthday, sweetie pie.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. So he and I may go out and, have a celebratory
Party.
something or other. I don't know about the I don't know about that,
It's
but
my friend's birthday.
But we may do some. I gotta make sure
Johnny,
everything is stocked up at the house. Because Dad's even like, hey, we're kind of running low on stuff. Yes, Dad, I know. I'm gonna
Happy
go.
birthday,
Oh,
Johnny.
yeah.
Happy birthday, Johnny T.
This is why I don't say anything because
It's your birthday. You
big
say
on
it's
that.
your birthday. No. It's my birthday too, yeah.
And dig this.
Happy birthday.
My sisters?
To ya.
My older of the two sisters,
Yeah.
her birthday's on Sunday.
Happy birthday.
Melanie.
To ya.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it's your birthday, my friend. You're
Yeah.
a good person.
Happens every year, so it's bound
whatever.
to roll around again, whether or not I'm on the planet. It's still going to happen.
All right, we're gonna go. I think we're gonna do
Rocktober
some
12th.
purpose.
Hey, we're not doing the show too loudly for you out there, are we?
It's over.
Oh, right.
All right. Well,
All
I'm
right, that's
teaching
enough.
Friday. I'm subbing on Friday. I'm teaching on Saturday. What am I doing? I'm going somewhere else on Sunday. I think I don't remember. But anyway, that's it.
Okay.
That's all.
It's enough. You've said enough. You
That's
said it
she
all.
wrote. And we love you guys.
All
Happy
right.
birthday, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
And with that, Gino, cue the music because we are gone. We'll see you next time in Real Town. Bye.